Question number 61, KAYTE. KAYTE is a public limited company, operates in a number of industries. It has a reporting date of 30th of November 2013. Advise the directors of KAYTE on the accounting issues above. अच्छा, ये accounting issues कुछ तो हुए हैं, तो इसमें अपने को directors को बताना है कि क्या हुआ है. चेक करते हैं. One of the industries that KAYTE operates is in shipping. KAYTE's own shipping vessels classified as property, plant, and equipment and measured using the cost model, which constitutes a material part of the total assets. The economic life of vessels is estimated to be 30 years, but useful life of some of the vessels is only 10 years because KAYTE's policy is to sell these vessels when they are 10 years old. KAYTE's estimated residual value, KAYTE's estimated residual value of these vessels at sale to be half of these acquisition, and this value was assumed to be constant during the useful life. KAYTE argued that the estimates of residual values used were conservative in view of an immature market with a high degree of uncertainty, and presented documentation which indicated some vessels were being sold for a price considerably above their carrying amount. Broker valuations of residual value were considerably higher than those used by KAYTE. Okay. KAYTE argued against broker valuation on the ground that it would result in a greater volatility in reporting. तो सबसे पहली बात तो KAYTE स्टेटमेंट, एक मिनट, सबसे पहले ऐसे चालू करते हैं कि रेसिडुअल वैल्यू इज द वैल्यू विच एन एंटिटी अर्न्स फॉर the sale of the asset at the end of its useful life, or the value that entity will earn at the end of the useful life of the asset. ठीक है. So in the current scenario we can see that the economic life of the vessels was estimated to be 30 years, but the useful life of vessels is only 10 years because KAYTE's policy is to sell the vessels when they are 10 years old. So therefore the residual value should be estimated on the basis of what will be the value after 10 years. ठीक है ना. However, KAYTE estimated the residual value of these vessels at sale to be half of the acquisition cost. Constant, and value was assumed to be constant during the auction. ठीक है. एक मिनट. KAYTE argued that the estimates of residual value used were conservative in view of an immature market with a high degree of uncertainty. Presentation of document here. KAYTE has argued against the broker valuation that it would result in higher volatility in the reporting. This is an invalid argument. As with the greater level of volatility, the fair value or the residual value is not determined. Residual value is determined on the basis of reliable estimates, and we can see that broker valuations of residual value were much more reliable than those used by KAYTE. Therefore, there will be a switch in the there will be a switch in the residual value accounting that KAYTE should do, and that will be based upon the broker valuations. ऐसा अपन बोलेंगे. KAYTE keeps some of the vessels for whole 30 years, and these vessels are required to undergo an engine overhaul in dry dock every 10 years to restore their service potential. Hence, the reason why some of the vessels are sold. As KAYTE keeps some vessels for a whole of 30 years, but in every 10 years, it has to undergo an engine overhaul. That is, we can say that in every 10 years, there or else in simple terms, in every 10 years, the maintenance of the vessels is happening, and because of which the 10 years and because of which the value of these vessels keeps on increasing. Upon the second maintenance that will take place after say another 20 years, the maintenance or the overhauled value of the first maintenance should be reduced. अब मैं यहाँ पे maintenance word use कर रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे इन्होंने overhaul लिया हुआ है, should be reduced. That means in simple terms the overall value will be capitalized in the value of the asset, and when the next overhaul takes place, the first overall's value will be de-recognized. The residual value of the vessels kept for 30 years is based upon the steel value of the vessel at the end of the economic life. है ये फिर भी शायद रिलायबल एस्टिमेट हो सकता है क्योंकि हाँ आई थिंक ये रिलायबल एस्टिमेट हो सकता है स्टील वैल्यू के बेसिस पे रखना हाँ थोड़ा मतलब वैल्यू चेंज हो सकता है but still I think it's okay. In the current period of the vessels had to have its engine totally replaced only after 8 years. This is a one-off thing. Normally engines are for 30-year economic life if overhauled every 10 years. Additionally, one type of vessel is having its funnels replaced every 15 years. Funnels after 15 years, but funnels had not been depreciated separately. Funnel का valuation अलग होगा than as compared to the other valuation of the vessels. ऐसा मुझे लगता है. चेक कर लेते हैं एक बार. रेसिडुअल वैल्यू देखो सबसे पहली बात तो IAS 16 प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट डिफाइंस रेसिडुअल वैल्यू एज द वैल्यू एस्टीम एज द एस्टिमेटेड अमाउंट which an entity would currently obtain from the disposal of the asset after deducting the estimated cost of disposal if the asset was already at the age and in condition expected at its end of its useful life. IAS 16 requires the residual value to be reviewed at least at the end of each financial year. हाँ ये अपन ने पॉइंट नहीं बोला कि रेसिडुअल वैल्यू should be reviewed at least annually at the end of each financial year. And if the estimated residual value is higher than an asset's carrying amount, then no depreciation is charged. हाँ the estimated residual value is higher than the carrying amount, then no depreciation. वो ठीक है. ये देखो अभी 10 years के vessels के लिए क्या होगा. KAYTE's calculation of the residual value of the vessels with the 10-year useful life is not acceptable under IAS 16, property, plant, and equipment. Undesirable volatility is not convincing argument to support the use of residual value equivalent to half of the acquisition cost. ये अपन ने perfectly बोला था. The residual value should be the value at the reporting date as if the vessel had already of the age and in condition expected at the end of its useful life. KAYTE should prepare a new model to determine the residual value and would take into account the broker's valuation. ये भी अपन ने perfectly बोला था. लेकिन ये देखो vessels with the age of 30 years ये भी इन्होंने इसमें इंक्लूड किया हुआ. ओ हाँ ये तो अपन ने भी बोला था ना कि वो 10 years में चेंज करते रहते हैं. हाँ we had said this. As regards to the vessels which are kept for a whole of their economic life or a residual value based upon the scrap value of the steel is acceptable. हाँ ये अपन ने बोला था कि it is acceptable. Therefore, the vessel should be depreciated based upon the cost less scrap value of the steel over the 30-year life. Okay, तो इन्होंने बोला कि रेसिडुअल वैल्यू के साथ डेप्रिसिएशन कैसे पास ऑन करना है बस ये इन्होंने यहाँ पे बताया हुआ है. When major plant maintenance work is to be undertaken, the cost should be capitalized. The engine overall will be capitalized as a new asset, which will then be depreciated over the 10-year period to the next overall. ये देखो जैसे next overall आएगा तो ये देखो the depreciation of the original capitalized amount will typically be calculated such that the carrying amount of nil when the overall is undertaken. तो बेसिकली ये बोले लाइन क्या बोलती है कि जैसे ही पहला ओवरऑल को अपने को डीरेकग्नाइज करना पड़ेगा जब अपन सेकंड ओवरऑल पे जाएंगे तभी. This is not the case with one vessel because work has been referred earlier than expected. In this case, any remaining carrying amount of the old engine and overall cost should be expensed immediately. The remaining carrying amount of the old engine and the overall cost should be expensed immediately. वो एक 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 वेसल का ही पॉइंट है कि एक वेसल में ऐसा चेंज हुआ है. दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव डन दिस. दैट्स फाइन. फनल्स. The initial carve out of components should include all major maintenance events which are likely to occur over the economic life of the vessel. Sometimes it may subsequently be found that the initial allocation was insufficiently detailed in that not all components were identified. This is the case with the funnels. In this situation, it is necessary to determine what the carrying amount of the component would currently be had it been initially identified. This will sometimes require the initial cost to be determined by reference to the replacement cost and the associated accumulated depreciation charge determined using the rate used for the vessel. This is likely to leave a significant carrying amount in the component being replaced, which will need to be written off at the time of replacement capitalized. एक बार इस चीज को फिर से एक बार ब्रेक डाउन करके पढ़ते हैं. See, the initial carve out of components should include all major maintenance events which are likely to occur over the economic life of the vessel. मतलब एक में हर एक कार्व मतलब हर एक कंपोनेंट का जो मेजर मेंटेनेंस है उसको एक एक करके देखना चाहिए over the economic life of the vessel. Sometimes it may subsequently be found that initial allocation. Sometimes it may subsequently be found that the initial allocation of insufficiently is insufficiently detailed. In that not all components were identified. This is the case with funnels. In this situation, initial allocation is insufficiently detailed. In that not all components are identified. This is the case with the funnels. In this situation, it is not necessary to determine what is the carrying amount of the component would what the carrying amount of the component would currently be had it been initially identified. This will sometimes require the initial cost to be determined with reference to the replacement cost and associated accumulated depreciation determined by using the rate used for the vessel. This is likely to leave a significant carrying amount in the component being replaced, which will lead to return of at the time of replacement is capitalized. हमने कैसे उस चीज को दिखाया हुआ है? ओके, सी, यहाँ पे उन्होंने क्या बोला है, एडिशनली वन टाइप ऑफ वेसल वाज हैविंग इट्स फनल रिप्लेस एवरी 15 ईयर्स. तो जो एसेट हर अभी फनल इज अ ह्यूज कंपोनेंट, राइट? अगर जो एसेट डेप्रिशिएट अपन कर ही नहीं रहे हैं अलग से, एक कंपोनेंट है वो पूरे के पूरे वेसल का, और जो हर 15 साल में हो रहा है रिप्लेस, अगर हम उस चीज को डेप्रिशिएट नहीं कर रहे हैं तो द अपॉन द रिकॉग्निशन और द पार्ट, अब अभी जैसे समझो कि पूरे वेसल है 30 मिलियन का. एक छोटा सा वेसल या वो एक छोटा सा फनल जो है वो है 5 मिलियन का. अब एसेट डेप्रिशिएट हो रहा है हो रहा है हो रहा है हो रहा है और वो हो गया 20 मिलियन का. अब जो 5% है 20 मिलियन का वो होगा 1, और जो 30 मिलियन का 5% था वो था 1.5. तो अभी हमारे कैरिंग अमाउंट फनल की हो गई है 1. लेकिन अगर ये 30 मिलियन के टाइम पे हमने इसको अलग से कंपोनेंट दिखाया होता 1.5 का, और इसके ऊपर अगर हम 10% या 5% का वो डिप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करते, तो लेट्स अज्यूम कि हम लोग 7% का डिप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करते. अगर हम लोग 7% का डिप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करते विद द फॉल, तो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ये जो अभी हमें 1 का कैरिंग अमाउंट मिला है ये शायद 0.8 का मिलता, या फिर ये शायद 0.7 का मिलता. तो बिकॉज हमने इस चीज को अलग से डिप्रिशिएट स्टार्टिंग से नहीं किया, तो अभी इसका कैरिंग अमाउंट ज्यादा दिख रहा है. बिकॉज अभी इसका कैरिंग अमाउंट ज्यादा दिख रहा है, तो फिर रिप्लेसमेंट के टाइम पे ये बहुत ही हैवी वैल्यू जो है अपन डी रिकॉग्नाइज कर रहे हैं. लेकिन अगर हमने इस चीज को स्टार्टिंग से ही अलग दिखाया होता, डेप्रिशिएट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम किया होता, तो एक तो अपने को वो डेप्रिसिएशन का वो बेनिफिट या एक्सपेंस क्लेम करने को मिलता है इन द पीएनएल, एंड हमारी कैरिंग वैल्यू डिक्रीज हो जाती है 0.8 पे. सो अभी बिकॉज एंड व्हेन वी विल रिप्लेस द एसेट, तो एक छोटा सा या वो 1 मिलियन नहीं होगा रिप्लेस, 0.8 मिलियन होगा रिप्लेस. सो द कैरिंग अमाउंट विल रिड्यूस. तो यहाँ पे देखो इन्होंने कैसे दिया हुआ है, सेम चीज बोली हुई है. This is likely to leave a significant carrying amount in the component being replaced, which will need to be written off at the time of when the replacement is capitalized. रिप्लेसमेंट तो कैपिटलाइज होगा, लेकिन जो अमाउंट डी रिकॉग्नाइज होगा वो एक बहुत ही हैवी अमाउंट डी रिकॉग्नाइज होगा. तो इन्वेस्टर्स सवाल पूछेंगे कि इतना बड़ा हैवी अमाउंट डी रिकॉग्नाइज कैसे हुआ. इसीलिए कंपोनेंट्स जो बार बार रिप्लेस होते रहते हैं उनको अलग से डेप्रिशिएट करना पड़ता है. जैसे ये देखो, इन्होंने स्टार्टिंग के वाले पैराग्राफ में यही बोला, इनिशियल कार्व अमाउंट ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंक्लूड ऑल मेजर मेंटेनेंस इवेंट्स which are likely to occur over the economic life of the vessel. Sometimes it may subsequently found that initial allocation was insufficiently detailed and in that not all components were identified. तो हमने फनल को पहले से ही आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया, लेकिन जब रिप्लेसमेंट की बारी है तब तब हमने आइडेंटिफाई किया, जिसकी वजह से उसकी कैरिंग अमाउंट बहुत ज्यादा दिख रही थी. इन दिस केस विद द फनल्स, in this situation it is not necessary to determine what the carrying out of the component would currently be had it been initially identified. In this situation, it is necessary to determine what the carrying amount of the component would currently be had it been initially identified. अगर पहले से ही कर देते तो इतना ये झंझट नहीं पड़ता एंड इतना बड़ा हेवी अमाउंट ही रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं होता. This will sometimes require the initial cost to be determined by reference to the replacement cost. तो फिर इनिशियल कॉस्ट को हम लोग रिकॉग्नाइज कैसे कर सकते हैं वो इन्होंने खाली बताया हुआ है, विच इज ओके. वो वाला पार्ट शायद उतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है मेरे हिसाब से. आगे बढ़ते हैं. डिस्कस briefly discuss some of the factors that management should consider when disclosing KPIs in the reporting entity IR. अच्छा बाय द वे, मैं किसी को भी मतलब बता दूं, मैं कोई टीचर नहीं हूँ, इसलिए मैं भी स्टूडेंट हूँ, सो इवन आई एम टेकिंग माय टाइम टू सॉल्व द सम्स. इसके वजह से इतना टाइम लगता है एक सम को डिकोड करने में, ठीक है ना. अभी throughout in other business operations, KAYTE is reliant on skilled workers to design and manufacture high-tech products. Because of the importance of KAYTE's workforce into its business operation, the directors wish to disclose the following key performance indicators in the annual integrated report. Okay, पहला क्वेश्चन क्या है, लेकिन briefly discuss some of the factors that management should consider when disclosing KPIs. Okay, the factors that management should take into consideration when briefly discussing the KPIs in the reporting entities integrated year report is that the information is concise and entity specific. The information, if not entity specific and not concise in nature, then would be monotonous to the investors, because general information will be available to them outside anywhere about the industry. It should be material enough. If the information is not material enough, then there can be situations where it might lead to clutter being created in the integrated report. Integrated report. KPIs और क्या होना चाहिए. Investors might not also read the information if it is not material. KPIs disclose, no? See, the KPIs that we are disclosing should be comparable, at least to our own entities, own entities performance year on year. If it is industry comparable, then it would be much better for the investors and the potential investors to understand if they want to invest their money in the company or not. Uh, और क्या हो सकता है, should not be. It has also been seen that in certain cases, the key performance indicators given by management are the key performance indicators to hide the other poor performance मतलब measures, such as ratios which include the underlying profit transactions, etc. Uh, it is based upon management judgment and is very very subjective in nature. So therefore, management judgment is tested in this case. देख लेते हैं. देखो, सिलेक्शन ऑफ केपीएस के बारे में इन्होंने क्या लिखा है, अभी अपन वो पढ़ लेते हैं. Integrated reporting framework does not specify which KPI should be disclosed or how they should be disclosed, but instead leaves this to the management judgment. However, the integrated reporting framework does identify characteristics of useful quantitative and indicators. KPI should be focused on matters that management have identified as material. देखो, अब अपन ने material का point cover किया था. They should be consistent with the KPIs used internally by the management. KPI should be presented with comparative figures so that, yes, let's go. So that the users of the integrated year report can appreciate trends. Targets should also be disclosed as well as projections for the future periods. KPIs selected should be consistent with those used within the industry and which is the in which the entity operates. Some KPIs should be reported each period unless they are no longer material. KPIs should be calculated in a consistent manner in each reporting period. Qualitative information and discussion is required to add context to KPIs such as the assumptions used and the reasons for significant trends. ठीक है, आई थिंक दो तीन पॉइंट्स तो अपन ने इजीली इसमें से कवर किए थे. मैनेजमेंट जजमेंट आ गया था, कंपेरेटिव आ गया था और मटेरियल आ गया था. नेक्स्ट था कि कंसिस्टेंट रहना चाहिए कि अगर एक समय दो तो फिर दूसरे समय भी देना ही है. दिस कैन ऑल्सो बी वेरी गुड डिसएडवांटेज पॉइंट कि अगर मैनेजमेंट ने अभी दे रही है और अगर कल को जाके मैनेजमेंट का परफॉर्मेंस इन दैट वन की इंडिकेटर इज बैड, और अगर वही मैनेजमेंट ने उसी साल में नहीं दिया, एंड इफ इन्वेस्टर्स पॉइंट दैट आउट कि यार व्हाई इज दिस केपीआई नॉट देयर व्हिच वाज देयर इन द लास्ट ईयर, देन दैट इज अ डिसएडवांटेज, or it won't build a good reputation. Abhi, discuss how the KPIs might be interpreted by the users of the integrated report. Discuss how the KPIs might be interpreted. Throughout the other businesses, KAYTE is reliant on skilled workforce to design manufacture. तो एक्चुअली ना कुछ कुछ पॉइंट्स हम यहीं से ऊपर से ले लेंगे, एक दो पॉइंट चालू करने के लिए. KPIs are used by the investors or the potential investors so that एक minute, so that they can make their decision about whether or not to invest in the company or no, or to put their money elsewhere. Thus, KPIs play a very important role in building the management's reputation, and thus data should make sure to present the KPIs which help in which help in management getting reputation. नहीं नहीं नहीं, ये वाला पॉइंट खराब है, ये वाला पॉइंट खराब है, ये वाला पॉइंट काफी ज्यादा सेल्फिश लगेगा. इन द करंट सिनेरियो पे आ जाते हैं पहले. इन द करंट सिनेरियो वी कैन सी दैट द एवरेज एम्प्लॉय सैलरी from 2012 has increased from 29,956 to 30,325 in 2013. On a Huh. On a outer look, it would seem to be a good increase in the average employee salary, being the growth of 33,225 divided by 29,956. So a growth of 1.01% has taken place. However, अगर अपन देखें तो देखो नेशनल रेट ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन जो है वो है 2% का. द नेशनल रेट ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन इज itself 2%, but the average employee salary which it has been earned is only 1% growth, so which is bad for the entity, and thus Kate should take this into consideration. फिर revenue per employee, the revenue per employee has surely grown by the 116,432 divided by 102, 124 has surely grown by 14%. It has been grown by 14%. यहाँ पे नीचे कुछ दिया है क्या? एम्प्लॉय टर्नओवर कैलकुलेटेड नहीं, ये कुछ नहीं दिया है. Has grown by 14%. However, in the future years, this revenue per employee figure can seem to be decreasing. This is because the entity has not increased the salary of the employees to that rate of the inflation, but and this indications can surely be seen. And for this, the indications can surely be seen in the increase in sick days per employee being taken by employees, which were taken 2.1 in 2012, whereas in 2013 it grew to 4.9. This growth in sick days per employees can be an indication of the decrease in motivation to work or employees. This can also lead to employees leaving the company. This can be seen with the increase in employee turnover by 13.9% to 18.7%. Management or the investors might look at this as in a negative way, that why are the employees leaving the company when there was still a salary increase being done. We can also see that the industry average है, देखो नीचे दिया हुआ है, is 14.1%. Therefore, Kate should take this into consideration and put in efforts to reduce the employee turnover, or make certain changes in their working so that the employee turnover ratio goes down. Uh, बिकॉज ऑफ द, हाँ, ये भी एक बोल सकते हैं कि इफ द की मैनेजमेंट पर्सनल ऑफ द एंटिटी और द पीपल हु रिप्रेजेंट एट अ हायर बोर्ड, इफ दे आर involved in this employee turnover ratio and if they leave the company, then it might have a negative impact on the company as a whole, as the sales for the years might be reduced, um, and company would find it very difficult to obtain the same quality of workmen back. This can also be the case that certain competitors can offer them higher salaries and like buy the loyalty नहीं, लेकिन can hire them at a better salary. ऐसा बोल सकते हैं, चेक करते हैं. इतना ही बोला है, ओके. कि the average employee salary has risen by 1.2%. This is less than the rate of inflation, ये अपन ने बोला था. Although the statistic could be skewed by high earners, it suggests that employees are earning less in real terms than they were a year ago. Despite this, revenue per employee has increased by 14%. This suggests that there have been large-scale measures to improve efficiency. There may be many reasons for this increase, such as technological changes or new contracts. However, when combined with the small year-on-year pay increase, this extra workload could cause employees dissatisfaction. Okay, अपने बोला था less motivation actually, but dissatisfaction is a better word. Many suggest technology changes new and contract. The KPIs on sick leave corroborate the above. Sick days per employee have increased by, तो इन्होंने उसका भी परसेंटेज फिगर दिया हुआ है. आई वाज नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग कि ये लोग उनका परसेंटेज फिगर देंगे, but they have given it. This may be suggestive of high levels of stress potential caused by the dramatic rise in efficiency, or simply the fact that many employees are not enjoying their jobs. Employee turnover has increased and it is now in excess of industry average. Once again, this may suggest dissatisfaction with pay or working conditions. It may be that Kate's competitors offer more attractive employment terms. ये भी अपन ने कवर किया था बहुत सही से. Kate is reliant on skilled workforce, but KPI suggests that it needs to take measures to reduce absenteeism and to improve employee retention. Kate appears to be losing a large number of its staff, which is ultimately not sustainable. A lack of experienced staff in the business will have a detrimental impact on the quality of service provided by Kate and a negative impact on its reputation. हाँ, एक्चुअली ये भी बोल सकते थे कि बिकॉज ऑफ एम्प्लॉय डिससेटिस्फैक्शन, इफ दे लीव द कंपनी एंड जॉइन अदर कंपनीज, देन दिस वुड लीड टू अ डिक्रीज in the company's reputation, that they were not able to safeguard or keep their own employees or keep their good quality employees, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं. Users of IR, मतलब integrated report, may therefore be pessimistic about Kate's long term prospects. तो ये अपन ने बोला था कि इन्वेस्टर्स के ऊपर खराब इम्पैक्ट जाता है पोटेंशियल इन्वेस्टर्स के ऊपर. ये अपन ने पॉइंट कवर किया था. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग. बाय.